the individual that I have on the screen here right now is probably one of the top announcers, mic men, hype men, and DJs that I've met in all this time that I've been involved in music. I met him, actually I checked it today. So we met back in 2016, but we really connected at Crop Over in 2017. Actually,
exactly.
let me rephrase that. It wasn't Crop Over, it was Rum Buckets. We met at Rum Buckets. You came to do that event with Crown Prince in St. Lucia. That was the first time we actually connected, and then we met back up again in Beige International for Crop Over, right? So I remember that much as much, right? So the brother has a history of experience within music and entertainment. I read today that he's actually 2010 Soca DJ of the Year. That's correct. Yes, right, the Soca DJ of the Year. Let me see if I can find this from the South Florida Dancehall Awards. Right, that's correct as well. See, and of course, he's worked with Private Ryan. He's worked with numerous amount of DJs that you all know. He's extremely good at what he does in terms of stage and in terms of his craft. And I have to say that I really respect him for the level of professionalism that he brings to the game, which is something that I think everybody could learn from. So everybody. Introducing Mr. Barrie Everett, aka Barrie Hype. I was going to the
man hit them with the government one time.
No, I will tell you the same thing I tell everybody. It's important for me that people understand you have a government name. You know why? Because we all are individuals. And yeah, you might be Barrie Hype, I might be Redymix. The DJ Slim here from Dominica saying hello. DJ Slim is from Dominica.
I cannot give the hello right now. Mommy is downstairs sleeping, so they will not be.
Right. So we have no hello. We have no hello. We have no hello. But we'll work with it. We'll work with it. So once again, brother, thank you very much for your time tonight.
I appreciate it.
You know, you and I had a conversation, so I know that it's been a lot of back and forth for you in the last couple of days. So I really appreciate you making time tonight. First of all, well, what is the status right now in St. Lucia for anybody that does not know? What is the COVID-19 situation?
St. Lucia, we're at, I want to say, 15, 16 cases we had. Our last one was a week to a week and a half ago.
Right.
But the good thing is that one was caught in a time where we were all self-quarantining. As a matter of fact, the curfew was in effect as well. So we caught him, it was either day 9, day 10, or day 11 of his cycle, I guess.
Right.
And so in catching that, they were able to isolate and deal with that. Out of the 15, 2 have subsequently returned to their home country of the UK. 9 have recovered, and we've had, thank God, 0 deaths.
Right, that's great. That's great. I mean, what would you say to people who may have the view that some of the governments in the Caribbean, especially when you have like 1 case, 10 cases, 15 cases, what would you say to the view by some that we've probably taken too many stringent rules in terms of the curfews, in terms of shutting things down?
I have friends of mine who are doctors outside of the Caribbean diaspora, and they're all telling me the first world countries could really take a page from the third world countries on how to. They're amazed by how, you know, okay, for the most part, you know, I would want to say 95 to 99% of people have been abiding by the guidelines, and please do this, social distancing, please stay at home, etc. You know, we West Indians, we don't really like to follow them type of things. So we have a few of us who fall astray, and unfortunately sometimes they put a quarantine, you know, a curfew or something. But for the most part, I would want to say that we've been playing our part, which needed to be done.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that we'll actually get into a discussion about tonight is Carnival. That's a whole different and particular level of discussion I want to have with you, because hearing things coming from our government and from some of the other governments within the region, I don't think people really understand the exponential effect that this entire disease and this entire crisis is going to have on the Carnival and the events industry going forward. But before we get to that, one of the things I've enjoyed about doing in this, or enjoyed about this series, is that even though the Groove Theory team kind of leverages on the relationships that we have with you guys in terms of contacting you and asking you all to make yourselves available, personally for me, I have learned so much about all of you guys that I did not know before. And today when we spoke on the phone, there were some items that you mentioned that I had no idea of. And that's important for me. And why it is I'm mentioning a government name in the beginning is because, and you would understand this, there is this notion by some that announcers and DJs is not that hard now, right? We just going out there and people, you know what? Barrie, you know the talk. People go and say, oh, Shomari just go there, go and talk, and Barrie just go there and say hello and ting. And we have the detractors that will feel that what we're doing is just fly by night. Like you just pick it up and you decide to do it tomorrow. And anybody could do that. And I think you are a perfect example of kicking that concept to the curb, to the understanding of your history. And you are the best person to really and truly tell the story of Barrie Hype. So the first question I want to ask you, again, as you explained to me today, born in St. Lucia, went to school in Barbados first, or was it Barbados second?
Secondary school was in Barbados.
Right. So take us through the journey of Barrie Hype from being born in St. Lucia, the land I love so much, to ending up in Florida with not one, 2 degrees. 2 degrees.
Born in St. Lucia. Secondary school education was in Barbados, so shout out to the Bajan fraternity of our friends such as the Puffies, Rupee, Edwin Yearwood, John Doe, Monster Peace. We can go down the list. From there, I then came back to St. Lucia, at which point my mom used to run an airline called Air Martinique. She actually used to work for Liat.
Okay.
And then Air Martinique came into play and they needed a manager.
Right.
So the company had been there for a bit, but I basically came back from school, put out a couple resumes. Nothing was happening as usual, especially if you're putting out resumes in a late July, looking to get work one time in the summer season when things are usually not that busy.
Correct.
So I said, all right, cool. So mom said, here, what, I had already applied to go to school, and this school was about an hour north of Montreal, a junior college per se.
Right.
But the challenge I had was that by the time I applied to get student visa, blah, 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 I couldn't start in September. I had to start in January.
Right.
So mom said, well, you ain't go sit around from July, August, no, you come in and work. Your brain is not gonna stay. So all right, cool. So I work with mom in the airline industry, which was very helpful to me now as a tour DJ because I know all or most of the rules.
Right.
To let people know a little history. Before they had these printed nice tickets, you used to have to handwrite a ticket. That's the era of when I used to travel.
Right.
And back then, let's say, for example, I couldn't make the date and I say, Redymix, are you available? Yes, you could have switched the person's name on the reservation.
Right.
The last 3 sections on the plane was the smoking section. But we move on. We move on. From there, I went to school, like I said, an hour north of Montreal. I will never forget this. We landed in Toronto to get a connecting flight to Montreal, and the captain said, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The temperature today is a warm -9. So I will never, ever forget that. I learned to downhill ski before I could water ski. How crazy is that? Shout out to Angela Hunt. And then from there, came back to St. Lucia after going to school there.
Right.
Again, looking for jobs. What am I going to do? Eventually, old man calls in a favor to the general manager of a resort. So I start at the bottom of the pile, in the entertainment department, and I climbed. And after 6 years and a transfer from one hotel to another, the first one I was at was 900 plus rooms on 50 acres of land to just over 100 rooms on on, I would say, about an acre, acre and a half. It was on top of a hill, and it also had a beach bar, which I used to run the entertainment for on Fridays and Sundays.
Wow.
So Fridays, that bar was known for having practically almost every single beer in the world.
Right.
So you could go in there and practically order almost any beer you want. We had a little karaoke thing. After that, DJ played. You know, it got to the point where, you know, if you had a party or an event, you were outside handing out a flyer or looking for a shout out on the mic. And that went from being 50 people to all of a sudden 500 with having police outside.
Right.
You know, to going to radio station to doing promo and asking people, please make sure your car is off the road because now we're causing a traffic jam.
Did the hello start there or the hello came after?
Oh, the hello was way after.
Okay. I jumped the gun. Continue.
No, it's all good. And so at this particular point in time, every time I went on vacation, a major event happened at work. Either a supervisor left, a boss was fired, somebody was replaced. So every time I came back from vacation, there was a little step that I could take up the ladder, small steps. Eventually, I realized, and my pops, you know, God rest his soul, my dad was one of those who said, right, you've been in this industry now for 5-6 years. Okay, what are we doing here? Is this what you would like to do for the rest of your life? Because if that's the case, then you should be formally trained. You need to have yourself a degree in this field. I'm like, hospitality industry, because I'm now at this point in time, I went from entertainment manager, I went now to duty manager, and I was offered a position as resident manager.
Just for one moment's sake, you realize how much love eyes going up in the chat. So that means that as you are calling out your qualifications, the ladies here are like, yeah, boy, way, boy. So we already take all the notion that Barrie don't know nothing, right?
Barrie knows nothing. Barrie knows nothing.
Right, continue.
So from there, I basically turned down the opportunity to climb one major step in the hospitality industry to go to resident manager, which would have meant I would have been living on property, and anything that happens apart from the duty manager, I'm next in line. Right. But I turned that down to go back to school because I realized that as much as I enjoyed working in the hospitality industry, it was not my passion. Right. My passion still was the entertainment industry. At this particular point in time, I had worked the St. Lucia Jazz Festival in the production aspect for a company here called MCE. And subsequently the director, the production manager for the Jazz Festival. I will never forget this. I made a mistake on a radio that anybody else would have chastised me for. And he said, Barrie, I'm supposed to be coming here today to fire you. Right. He says, but because you have not been formally trained in this industry from a technical point of view, he says, firing you will do you no good. As a matter of fact, it will probably bring you down. So he pulls me aside. His phone is going off, his radio is going off, and he took 20 minutes out of his busy evening to pull me aside and tell me, these are the following reasons why I should fire you, but I need you're clearly you love this industry because you are where you're at purely on passion. Correct. And no other reason. Yeah. And so here's my suggestion. You need to go to school and learn this formally. So he highly recommends a school in Orlando, which is called Full Sail, at which I did show production and concert touring and recording arts. In short, I did studio and live. So when you, for example, you go to any major event, I am qualified to man any position in sound, lighting, and video. From a live perspective, when you go into a studio, I can handle myself behind the board, which also they don't just teach you how to turn knobs and raise faders. How do you conduct yourself in a room? If an artist asks you for your opinion, you know, what do you tell the artist? What do you not tell the artist?
Right.
What's your relationship? If you're just being hired by the studio, to do this, versus this is an artist of yours who you're bringing in on a project, how do you answer that person when they ask, well, what do you think?
But I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question as to interject here.
Sure.
Obviously, technology is ever evolving, and it would mean that some of the resources that you have used in the initial stage of learning to be able to do show production on that level possibly would have changed during the course of years. The fundamentals would not have changed.
Correct.
But the equipment would have changed. Given the fact that your schedule is so busy, and like Ryan, you are on a plane probably 90% of the time for the year, do you actually have time now to do heavy research into new equipment and new technology, so that if tomorrow, let's say a guy wants to throw a concert and he's having Jay-Z and this person and that person, you could be able to take whatever is the newest of the technological advancements to do a show on that level?
The short answer is yes, but then, like you as a DJ, you will ask for specific equipment. You want me to do this? I need these particular tools for me to do my job.
Right.
If I show up somewhere, let's say, like Rupee, I'm Rupee's official DJ. Rupee hasn't been to a sound check in 7 years, 7 years.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't need to go. I go there and handle it. It's funny because most engineers, when I go there, they just think I'm a DJ, and when I say, "Hey, can I get this microphone turned up in this particular mix, or can you please change your configuration of your settings, or is this running quad? Is this running three-way? What is your settings? Are you running all of your monitors on the stage on the same button, which we call a mix?"
And the funny thing is that guys now, because of ego, would feel offended because they're cocky. So they're like, who is this DJ guy just coming on the stage to tell me X, Y, Z, whatever, whatnot? Little do they know, you've been trained for this.
Most engineers, though, when you speak their language, and of course you speak to somebody properly, if you're being arrogant, expect arrogant back. If you're polite
Correct.
to somebody, and usually I'll ask those before, say, "Hey, how are you running your stage?" And you'll get an answer back and everything else. Sometimes I'll just sit off to the side. I did this one time. Akon was the headline. There's a couple of the artists. I was working with an artist named Selena Serrano at the time. Papa Keith was her DJ, who is a Trini on one of the biggest stations in South Florida. He was working with her as her artist. And there was a band that sound checked beforehand. And when the band was going to say, "All right, cool, we got to shut this down," I says, "Yo, I didn't get a sound check for my artist." So what do you mean? I said, "I've been here for an hour and a half scheduled time for this sound check."
Right.
I said, "Keith, go plug in your," at the time it was an instant replay. "Go plug in your instant replay." I said, "This will not take long." I said, "Can I get the microphone the female had?" I said, "Lovely." I said, "This is the microphone I want you to use." I said, "Keith, say something. Can you bring his vocal down in the side fill?" "Cool, press play." I said, "Wonderful, I'm done." I walked off the stage in 45 seconds, and the guy was like, "I've never seen somebody do that." I said, "Well, half of the sound check, or most of it, was done with me listening to what you had prior for your other people. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. If it sounds amazing, if there's no problem, why am I creating one? You move on to the next particular issue that you may have." It was an amazing show. Our artists killed it. A couple of the artists afterwards were okay. It didn't really start until Akon hit the stage. And technically some other people had issues. We did not.
Right.
You know,
I want to shout out to Private Ryan, who just joined as well. So big up to Private Ryan. He has to make his presence felt.
Absolutely.
Has to make his presence
felt. No, that's our brother, man. But the beauty about this is that when I finished school at Full Sail doing the 2 degrees, again, please always remember, when you're finished school, that doesn't mean you are entitled. That just means you have a degree in whatever field that you've chosen, and you better believe you're going to the back of the line, unless you have a hookup somewhere or whatever, or you own the business. Because there was actually 2 gentlemen in my class who owned full production companies to rival Johnny Q or Rent a Amp in Trinidad.
Right.
But these guys did not know anything from a technical aspect. So they basically wanted to know if a day my guy doesn't show up, I can actually do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
From there, I interned at 103.5 The Beat, which is a clear channel station in South Florida. Papa Keith, the same guy, did the nighttime show. I interned with the Baker Boys morning show. So that's waking up every morning at 4 o'clock, Monday to Friday, to make sure I'm at the station for 5. We went live to air at 6. That include bringing people's records from their trunk of their car upstairs. That included making sure the board was set up. That it means changing one of the microphones because one of them had his own. That also meant printing out the news so it was placed at everybody's position. That also meant that I had to get coffee, breakfast, man the phones, intern, unpaid, 3 months.
3 months.
Mornings. But that helped me with that helped me with a lot of things. One, I'm blessed to say I have 2 syndicated mix shows, one with Ryan Saeed and one with DJ Crown Prince. Baker Boys
So on that note, because again, one of the things I don't take for granted in doing this live series is that people would understand everything that we say. And especially for people who are here looking at this conversation and may not be into the DJ or music entertainment side, but they just love the information, always want to get down to the nitty-gritty of what that is. So explain to everybody what exactly is a syndicated show.
So syndicated radio is different to live radio. Live radio is when, as he's in the group, Private Ryan, he goes down to Red, he plugs in his laptop, he's doing his thing, Shiny, whoever's on the other side, there's interaction, vibes. Syndicated is pre-recorded. So Ryan Saeed, for example, he will put together the mix, I will send the vocal drops to him, and he will then put together the show, email it back to me, and I will send it off to the program directors, as will DJ Crown Prince.
Right.
So that's what syndicated radio is. So we're not live at this particular station in whatever country it is doing this live. It's pre-recorded. The beauty about this is that it plays on a variety of stations across the region. And we're also obviously looking to break into other markets, which I cannot discuss at the moment.
But, understood. but you are right, because I remember going to Antigua for the first time and taking the drive to the hotel late in the night and hearing that show with Ryan Saeed. And then a couple of weeks later, going to St. Lucia and hearing the same, it was almost the same show, but again at a different time of night. And at that point in time, I'm wondering, well, how is this possible? This is really long ago. And somebody said to me, yeah, these guys are syndicated. The show runs on different islands at different times. And they probably, how often does that show change? Is it something that you guys do every other week?
Every week.
So,
every week. So tomorrow, I will go to the studio to do drops for The Bounce, which I do with DJ Crown Prince. Last week, I recorded 2 weeks worth of shows. So Frequency, which is with Ryan Saeed, we've been doing guest DJ. So our first guest DJ was Outcast from St. Martin. Last week, our guest was Hollywood HP. This week, our guest is Jazzy T. Next week, our guest is Puffy. The week after, well, Private Ryan is there. I could ask him if he but I've also spoken to Delano from Renaissance. I've also spoken to Renegade from the Cayman Islands as well. And all of this is tied in because I sat there and observed the Baker Boys Master Mix show, which is something that they did apart from just the morning show, and they get paid very well for that.
Right. For a lot of younger DJs that might be tuned in, because you mentioned a lot of heavy hitter names there, right? And I've had this conversation with guys in terms of mentorship and what you do to encourage younger talent. Are you one that has an eye on younger talent? Is it something that you look out for to see, like, okay, this guy is a guy who I know probably if we give him a little assistance and we give him a little guidance, he could be the next Private Ryan, or he could be something greater?
that was Ryan Saeed. DJ Crown
Right.
Prince and myself saw the talent, nurtured him, took him in, brought him into the team. If I had a major event, I said, Saeed, forward.
AKA Tom Cruise.
AKA
Tom Cruise, right.
Young legend.
Young legend, yeah.
But I also noticed something that in him grabbing, you know, coming up in the ranks, there was a couple of DJs, nah, you can't play now. Nah, you can't play that slot. So I'm realizing this is going on. So I said, well, nah. You know, I said, I play next. Okay,
Right.
cool. I said, Said, open your laptop. Like, nah, he can't play now. I said, Dan, you can't tell me who my selector is. Open your laptop, brother. And he got some more prime time slots, and, you know, where more people could see him and doing his thing. If we went to Cayman, made sure my brother came along as well. Now, all of these markets, Saeed is our boss. He goes in there, handles it on his own. You know, he's doing his thing. But like you say, we are looking out for talent. It's not everybody we're going to take under our wing. You know, it's not just your skill set. You know, are you a humble individual? Are you a cool dude? You know, there's all of these things. Nobody likes working with an a-hole. Nobody.
Correct.
It's one thing we so, you know, we have to like you as well. That kind of makes sense. But, you know, Saeed was just that type of guy. He was really cool, laid back. And because of it, you know, I humbly respect my brother and his accomplishments that he made. Frequency was actually Jester and Crown Prince used to do that show.
Justice from Toronto, right?
Correct, yes.
Right.
With heritage from St. Kitts. So the issue that was coming up was that both Crown Prince and Justice schedules got very, very hectic, that we kept doing, okay, please ask the PDs, can you do a repeat this week? Can you do a repeat this week? Fellas, send an old show. And it got so busy where the fellas was like, yo, we just don't have time. So we had one of two choices. Either we cut that show or we slide a team member in to take it, which is what we did with Saeed.
One of the things, and I actually just saw somebody ask this question, just to remind everybody that you all can send your questions in the comments, or send me a question at Shomari KRL on Instagram, and we'll try to get to as many questions as possible, because I have like 10 on my phone that we got today in the group theory chat. I'm seeing here that DJ Carrie D wants to know your thoughts on gender equality in music for DJs and hype men, or I would say they would say hype women.
One
right?
of the baddest female MCs in the game is a sister who gave me a shot at International Flag Night. Her name is Giselle the Wasi
The Wasi one.
She is a boss on the microphone. She has hosted or co-hosted Soca Monarch. She's hosted some of the biggest concerts in Trinidad.
She's been at the voice of Army Fed for as long as I can remember. Yeah.
Exactly. So the reality is yes, there is space, you know, and I will say this. She's not good for a girl. She is just damn good at what she does. She's probably better than half of the men in the game too.
But even with that, Giselle has been is a seasoned veteran in what she does, and she's extremely good at what she does. But I think the question therein lies is, why aren't we seeing more females actually involved in craft? Now, yes, we do have female DJs now, DJ Anna, DJ Charlotte, and we could continue talking about a lot of female DJs. But the truth and fact is, there is only really like one Giselle Wasi one. There are others, but they're not at that level. Why do you think that's the case?
It's so funny. I was watching a throwback series on Rap City. Shout out to Big Tigger, very good friend of mine. And Tigger was actually asking one of the DJs, why is it that we don't have more female, you know, MCs in the game, as in hype women, and more DJs? It has just been a male-dominated job. It has just been a male-dominated position. But don't get tied up. You know, there are some very powerful women in this industry. Private Ryan's mother is his manager.
Correct.
You know, Kes the Band has a female manager. You know, I can go down the list. If you want to book Lil Rick, Peter Ram, you know, that's Santia Bradshaw. Again, another powerful, you know, woman. There are some powerful women in this game. So maybe you're not the MC, but don't get tied up. There's some women who run-ish around here.
Yeah. But I think as well too, it is about representation, and I do believe that there should be more avenues now for female MCs to really actually stake the claim, because at the same point in time, there is only one Giselle Wasiwan, but I don't think that she will be the only female announcer that can ever really hold a stage like that. There are many other females out there.
What about Granny?
You mean, well, yeah, but again, remember, to me, I also respect her as well, because I didn't even just look at her as an announcer, because remember, she's a stage performer and a comedian. So she has that experience with the stage. But I'm talking about somebody like a female who's going to walk out on the stage with a microphone and say, yo, everybody, this is whatever, welcome to Soca Brainwash. I am yours truly, yada, 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 blah, blah, alongside my DJ, so, take, and whatever.
Ladies, point blank, there is space.
Yeah.
If you want it, take it.
I agree with that.
Hustle hard, grind, do what you got to do, get in that position. We would welcome having, as long as you're, it's just like the fellas, I would love to have my bridge in there, but if you don't cut it, bro, you don't cut it. Please don't talk bad manners.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing, which you may not know. Fun fact. After doing the Baker Boys morning show as an intern, I then worked for a company called Paris Entertainment in South Florida.
Right.
After that, a position was made available to work on a project that Celebrity Cruises and Cirque du Soleil were doing on 2 cruise ships. So imagine your average cruise ship nightclub or observation deck, and then imagine Cirque du Soleil pumping $8 million into 2 ships. Just imagine the mindset of Cirque. So I did that pretty much, I want to say a couple months after the Baker Boys morning show. So in doing that and working on a cruise ship for 6 months, specifically for that project, is why I have a much better understanding of how cruise ships run, etc., which is why I'm also part of the team that brings Uber Soca Cruise, which is way down the road, but we could, as I say, we could bring it back and go forward from there. But,
so holistically then, we can say that because of your upbringing, because of what you studied at college, and because of the different internships that you took, the different jobs that you took, you've been basically training yourself for the majority of your life. That's the truth. So then it would then say that this has been your passion for as long as you can remember. So Barrie is not just about being the mic man or the hype man, but he's the guy that can actually plan your show. He's the guy that could give you the advice and entertainment. He's the guy that could go on stage and do sound and lighting for you. And that is a very unique ability to have in an industry where people many times look at us as we are not very knowledgeable about what we do.
I actually did lighting cue directions for Skinny Fabulous's performance at Soca Monarch. When it was in inside the Oval.
Right. Well, yeah, inside the Oval. You mean in Trinidad or in St. Vincent?
In Trinidad.
Right.
Because he didn't have a person, so they actually gave me a thing together. We went through it of his exact lighting cues that he needed. I went onto the board. I basically gave a rough overview to the guy. I said, here, I'll cue you. 3, 2, 1, go back to spot. 3, 2, 1, prime light, stage left, bottom, prime light, stage right, top. Like, we had this conversation with this guy, and he was like, wow, nobody else came in with that. I just had to kind of figure it out based on a rehearsal.
One of the things that always strikes me about you, it has always struck me about you, is that of all these things happening, Barrie Hype is really also a DJ. Like, you can physically DJ. So, and it's funny to me because I'll tell you why. A lot of people don't know that when Redymix DMT was formed, I was actually the DJ first. So I had that experience of being able to pick up records, the same Black Shadow records that you would know of. I have a whole crate of Black Shadow records here.
Rusty G.
And so now, hey, big up Rusty G, man. Rusty, I'm going to contact you very soon. So the truth in fact is that making that transition to an announcer I've already had the music that is inbred into my blood now. Was it the DJ side first or the announcer side first that came with you? And secondly, do you still like practice and do your own thing at home, or is it that you only DJ when you need to?
I would wish I could practice at home, but I don't have a setup at home to practice on. So, you know, the odd time I may go by by Black Shutter Studio and be able to practice. Even sometimes Triton may set up the console. I'll take one side, he takes the other side, and he plays a dub. I'm like, oh, word, and we will go back and forth, like, as in like we're clashing. We know all the tunes in the box, you know, because it's our sound. But at the end of the day, like I might do something, he'd be like, yo, we're 15 tunes in, you can't play that song there, because a good selector will call you out and say, oh, what you mean starting? Nah, man. We in the heart of the clash. You can't do this. Like, so I've learned a lot from that side of the industry from Triton. Triton Rami, Black Shutter Records, aka for those of you DJs who have wax, the black and yellow vinyl.
Yep. I have it. Now another very interesting thing about Barrie Hype is that he is in. Let me see if I can bring it up. You and. Because I make sure and take my notes on this today. Right. So you are an A&R, or you are an A&R for Black Shadow. That's correct, right?
I still am an A&R for
Right. Yes. So for those who don't know, because we want to be able to share that information, what exactly is an A&R and how do you get into an industry like that?
So let me start by saying, let's say you are the artist.
Right, I'm the artist. I'm coming with my song for Carnival 2021. Right.
So you're the artist. I have to know, are you or are you not a strong writer?
Correct.
So in knowing that, and this is a skill set, I have to be truthful to you with that as well. Let's say you're a good writer, but you're not a great writer.
Right.
I might say, hey, the record that you penned is amazing, but check out this contribution that I got from a writer, which I think will either complement your song or make your song better.
Right.
Now, I have to get the right producer to make the right beat. I have to get the right lyrics for the right record that suits specifically you.
Right.
And that is basically part of the talent of being an A&R. There's also artist development involved in that. I may, from time to time, go on the road with the artist. Not because I want to lime and hang out. I want to see what you are in this particular type of environment. So if I realize that if I put you on a show with R&B acts and you are killing it vocally, but you don't have the record yet, I know, okay, cool, let me take notes. I now need to get a very, very good record vocally that you could smash.
Right.
So you're doing covers because you have the vocal ability, but you don't have the song as yet.
I understand.
Whereas now, you know, an artist who is a much more rough and much more aggressive, okay, that artist has been put in that scenario. What are you going to do at an R&B show when you're a rough and aggressive artist? Well, do what Lil Jon did. You basically took Lovers and Friends and you flipped and put your, you know, down south dirty grime on the end of that record. So you did
with Usher at the beginning. Yeah. And you got a hit. Yeah. So who would you consider the most, I guess what we then said Rupee is the most the artist that you've been most consistent with over the period of time?
Yeah, because I'm not his full-time tour DJ. Lots of projects come, lots of projects go. If you listen to Rupee's, first of all, what he sounds like sonically, and then second, what Rupee mainly talks about, not all projects that come our way suit the artist.
Right.
You know, there are many records that come that don't suit artists. Let me give an example. Every Day I'm Hustling, which is Rick Ross's first hit. T.I. passed on that. Three artists passed, and then Rick Ross got it. Vibes Can't Done, which was an amazing production that KC did. An artist passed on that, and then it was given to Marshall.
Yeah.
So
I don't think a lot of people realize how many times there are instrumentals and beats being created, and artists either pass on it or sometimes producers even sleep on it. Because when I had the conversation with Captain John about 2 weeks ago, he had that their promoter instrumental sitting down for like 2 years. And I remember he saying to me, like, Colombian and a bunch of the other guys, like, yo, we have to do something with this. And his voice heard it and said, listen, keep that. I'm going to use that for Carnival. And he had that for 2 years parked up. You know?
And these are, we can have a million stories about this.
Yeah.
I've actually interviewed a few artists, and like when I used to be with Carnival TV, and I was like, yo, so tell me about this record. It's like, Barrie, I wrote this song 2, 3, 4 years ago. We did a rhythm called the Bad Dog Rhythm, which was Buju Crazy Talk, making no say we not scared. The bounty was man no pause when man no kill people. When Buju came into the studio, Buju told Triton, I've had this song written in my head for 6 months. I was just waiting for the right beat to put it on. And it happens. It happens. It's just, you know, one of those things. I love the days of doing television because, you know, you got to interact. Shout out to Walsh. Walsh actually was, from time to time, he came in and co-hosted, hosted for Carnival TV. Walsh much preferred this, sitting down with an artist one-on-one, or maybe with a couple of them, integral setting, doing his thing. Whereas me, I like that energy of backstage. You just came off the stage, your energy is high, bam, I want to put a microphone, ask you questions with that same performance energy.
As you know, and it's interesting you raise that point in terms of what different people prefer in terms of relationship with artist, entertainer. And I could even stretch that from announcer to DJ. Now, last night I was talking to Hans, and Hans was telling me that he and
Hans of Kesteban?
No, Hans, who works on Boom Champions 94.1, right? And he was saying that his DJ, and he and Gonzo have been doing this for 15 years straight. And he was saying that for him, it's always been important to have the proper relationship between himself and the DJ, and that's why he's never switched. One of the things I think is really, really to your credit is that you have managed to work efficiently with a bunch of different guys. I think you're at your peak with Private Ryan, but that is just my own personal opinion. But I've seen you work with Crown Prince. I've seen you work with obviously with Public Ryan. We will call him, so there's another nickname we have for him. Tell me what it is like working with these guys, especially, let me do it Private Ryan firstly. What is it like working with Ryan? Is it that you guys have developed this kind of relationship over a particular period of years of working together? Or is it that, you know, is a friendship that started and then went into, all right, let's do these events together. Hey, if you're here, because I've actually been in countries where Ryan would be like, yo, I need to have Barrie on this show with me, so I'm going to arrange to get him from wherever he is, and he's going to meet me there. So what is it like working with these guys? How did you guys develop that type of relationship?
Let me start in order. So I started working with DJ Crown Prince first.
Right.
Crown Prince was based in Orlando. He would come to the city, do his thing. Then eventually he moved to Miami. But I understood his style of play, because it's not like, he doesn't play like every DJ. If you've been to the French markets, or if you've been to Europe, if you've been to Dubai, his sound and style is very similar. Right. And so I understood his style, and it was as quiet as you see him, he is just punishing you with record after record after record.
Correct.
And then he will just slide in an a cappella loop, and all of a sudden he goes to another rhythm, and you're like, you're just going nuts in the club. And then when he cuts up the set, he's like, you know, pleasure to meet you, good afternoon, good evening. Mr. Smooth, real easy. And then after that, we then met Ryan Saeed, brought Saeed into the mix per se. But Private Ryan is somebody that I had known before over the years. I realized that a lot of MCs, for the most part, were not able to keep up. So if Ryan is here, MCs trying at their best was still not able. And at times he had to bring it down so that way the MC would not be lost, quote unquote.
Correct.
And so But Crown Prince and I, we saw Saeed, we saw the talent. He was actually not Ryan Saeed. He had another DJ name, which we will keep on the wraps.
Oh, come on, man.
Dan,
come on,
you cannot use the
come,
DJ name.
Come now,
I
man.
will
Come
leave
now, man.
that for when you interview Saeed.
Oh, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
So,
no, but I think, too, one of the key elements that a lot of announcers have to remember, and Hans was saying this last night, is that as much as people come to see us perform, at the end of the day, it's not about you, it's about them. And like I've had the privilege of working with Ryan as well too. You know, I've been in St. Vincent, and Skinny would say, oh, well, Ryan playing here, and you say, well, we go work with Shomari tonight, and I would work with Ryan, and we understand that it's not about a Shomari in front of the stage being me, or it's not. It's really about the people. The people are the one that's most important. The people that come to entertain. I think a lot of announcers kind of get lost in the fact of they believe that it's about them when it's really not about them. It's about the people.
They came to party. They came to party. Yeah. They came to have a good time. They came to escape whatever issues, whatever problems, or you know what? That's their party, and they got dressed up for it, either if it was themed or they just wanted to look good, feel good, and party their ASS off. It is our job to help facilitate that. They came to party. I want you to have the best time ever at every event. Will that realistically happen? We both know we have our amazing nights and we have bad nights.
Bad nights, yeah.
But at the end of the day, we try our best to make sure everybody has an awesome time there.
Yeah, I want to get to something quick before 9:30 because just to let everybody know, at 9:30 we're gonna come off of Instagram because we want to make sure and upload this to the Groove Theory page, and then come back on the other side of 9:30 to make sure we have all the content. Now I'm not really much of a social media hawk, but and this is just from me in observation. As much as you're on Instagram and you have your followers, if you compare your Instagram to some of the guys like Puffy and some other guys, you're not the Instagram kind of, I'm going to take these photos and I'm going to have this photo shoot and whatnot. That's not necessarily your style. But one of the things I've heard, which is a big secret to the Barrie Hype Entertainment Kung Fu, is that Barrie is an excellent person. No, I'm serious. But seriously, I've heard that Barrie's Kung Fu is that he's great at networking. Excellently good at networking. I really want to find out from you, just to kind of let everybody know, how is it that you can, what do you think is the real keys to actually being good at networking, showing your net worth, but not necessarily being annoying to somebody? And I always give this story of a certain DJ, an Antigua DJ. I'm not going to say his name because if the story gets out, the person on the flip side might know who it is. The Antigua DJ told me, yo, there's this DJ from Trinidad, boy. Call him every single day to play my party. And I don't know who this guy is. And it's like, he just totally annoying me. And it just came to my mind that, yo, as much as you want to market yourself to an entity, there is a particular way and science that to do that. What works for Barrie Hype wouldn't work for somebody else. But I think there are some principles that everybody can apply. So could you speak to that in terms of, like, how do you view networking? What are some of your strategies? Not necessarily as secrets, but some strategies that you wouldn't mind sharing.
So I'll tag Antigua. The first time I went to Antigua to host an event, it was a brand new event. It was put together by a friend of mine. But long story short, I could tell on the day of the event that the mathematics was just not going to happen. Meaning that from that point of view, either you're not getting paid that night or you're not getting your full pay. Even though the event did very, very well from a crowd point of view, you just know the business and know what's going to happen. But I made sure to take full advantage of any and every aspect that, for example, I want to say Was Flames on that one? They could have been on that one or the one before, but this is when you had Red Hot Flames and Burning Flames. I knew Red Hot Flames very well, but I didn't know all the guys in Burning Flames. So I made a point of going over, you know, shaking hands, having a discussion with them. As you see, networking. You don't want to be annoying, but at the same point in time, go and introduce yourself. A young DJ asked me this recently. You know, I said, go out there, hand them a mixtape, hand them a mix CD. Let them hear your talent. Let them at least experience what you are. If this is what you say your brand is, hand them something. You know,
ironically enough, when I was leaving Dominica from Carnival this year, I met a guy from Miami, and he was like, yo, I heard you with the band yesterday, you guys were decent, and I handed him a business card, and he was in shock, because he was like, people don't give out these things again, but at the same point in time, you want to represent that level of professionalism, and everybody will do it different, but you, as I said, you would have your way of doing it, and just like how you put it, you would go to individuals and introduce yourselves. I think a lot of times people sit back and say, well, I don't want to go across there, and you know, their personality and the disposition doesn't allow them to do that. But that is actually very important, and that's a key first step. Yeah.
Your networking is very, very important. As you said, have a business card, have a CD. Who's managing them?
Right.
It's very, very important. So let's say, for example, I like this artist's music. The first time I met Swappy, when Swappy had So Swappy performed on this boat ride in Trinidad. When Swappy came off the boat, I said, Swappy, what's good? My name is Barrie Hype. I'm a DJ from Miami. I said, I won't lie, bro, fan, love what it is that you're doing. I said, here's the problem. Who's servicing your music? He said, why? I said, because a lot of DJs who are outside the country have heard about your record, but don't have
But they don't have the record. Correct.
And a woman said, oi, that's a foreign DJ. Mix for the man, get your thing, boy. So I took Swappy's number, then we exchanged it. I messaged him the following day, he emailed it. I sent the record off to a number of DJs, because at the time I had a fraternity, which was called Top Gunners DJ Fraternity. I had DJs in almost every single island on my fraternity. It's funny, Lord Hype pulled me up this year and both me says, Barry, you need to bring back your fraternity again.
Yeah,
it's
I think
very
so.
Important. You know, who knows if I have the time now, if I really want to put forth the effort to push back hard again for the fraternity. But when I sent it to all the DJs, including, I don't know if you watched the Clash last night on Major Hype's page, DJ Avalanche was one of the DJs on Top Gunners fraternity. John Doe in Barbados is also a DJ that's on the fraternity. Scratchmaster was also a DJ that was a DJ on the fraternity as well. For those of you in the group, if you don't know who those DJs are, Google. They are big time in the business. So again, you know, you have to make, you're representing your brand. You can't sit back and think that things are just going to happen for you. You got to put forth the effort.
I agree with that. Just to close up that last point that you were saying, I really think that a lot of DJs don't understand the concept of them being a brand. And when I had that discussion with Puffy, Puffy was saying that if you go into the supermarket and you look to buy a box of popcorn, you're going to buy a particular brand of popcorn because that's what you're accustomed to, that's what's been sold to you, the marketing behind it, the understanding of the colors, how the box looks. And he said that obviously it's not generic for everybody, but at the same point in time, everyone has to figure out a branding, a marketing strategy for their brand and how they are going to push their brand. So I think that that's something that is really important that a lot of DJs don't necessarily do. Correct?
I learned this in a marketing class. At what age would you say you learned about Coca-Cola? And everybody will say whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 years old, whatever. I say, right. Coca-Cola still advertises. Coca-Cola still makes sure that the brand is right here in front of you. You know, that is very, very important. You know, if you're known as a DJ that clashes, you know, that's your brand. If you're known as an MC who does slack lyrics on stage, that is your brand. Shout out to Levi Chin, I see him in the group as well.
Yeah, man.
Levi was at that same party that we were at with Hollywood HP.
Right.
So again, your brand is what you want people to see as what you are. What do you represent? You know.
Speak up. Go ahead. Finish what you were gonna say.
Think of your favorite DJ. You know, or think of your favorite DJ in a particular setting, or you know, Babyface, who did that clash, the clash last night. You know, Babyface is known
after some technical difficulties last week.
They figured it out, but Babyface is known as a brand for making music.
Correct.
You're not going to hear Babyface doing a record. I mean, not to say he can't, but you're not going to hear Babyface on a record that has derogatory lyrics against women. That's just not his style. There are artists who fit that style.
Correct. One of the big discussions I want to really get into tonight, because I think it's probably the most important thing on the mind of everybody in our circle right now, is that of entertainment, events internationally, and Carnival, right? Now, obviously, everybody who is locked in right now would know that the majority of the carnivals between now and October have been cancelled, right? Although I did see that Jamaica has issued a statement that they're going to have Carnival later on in the year, either October or November.
So first weekend in October is Cayman, which Cayman is usually end of April, early May. Cayman moved to the first weekend in October. Second weekend in October is Miami Carnival. Third weekend in October is Heroes Weekend Jamaica, Ibiza, Soca Weekender in South Portugal. Fourth weekend in October is Jamaica Carnival. Fifth weekend in October is Halloween.
So then the question I guess I have to you is, because right now COVID-19 and the coronavirus is an extremely fluid situation, and it's something that even though we can make models and we have the research that are going to design the models, at the same point in time we're not sure what is the direction that things might go. What is your reasonable expectations of Carnival for the remainder of 2020?
And by the way, I'm glad you touched on a particular point there, but I want to just kind of deviate. Please get your information from the official source.
Please do.
Something dropped today that said Notting Hill is not happening. Now, realistically, do I think Notting Hill is going to happen? Probably not, but that's just my expectation, or guesstimation, I should say. But somebody dropped something which was not factual. Factual will come from Notting Hill Carnival's official Instagram page. So please make sure when you get the information, you get it from the official source. I don't think it's going to be a tough call for New York, man, with everything going on there. I don't see the governor of New York allowing mass events or mass populous events to happen.
I don't see it either.
Exactly. So then the next one down the line would be Miami Carnival. We don't know. And then after that is Uber.
And you know, you're probably the best person to ask this question. The cruise ship industry has taken an extremely big hit from the coronavirus. And I also believe that even if we do see that the numbers start to go down, psychologically, people have been affected by what has happened in the last couple of weeks. Just we've had examples of people who've gone on cruise ships, and like the people that came back from the cruise here, and they were stuck out in Margarita for a point in time, and then they finally got back to Trinidad, and 63 of them, whatever. So, do you think that Uber Soca can be really negatively affected from this? And from you being on the other side are those guys taking contingencies or making contingency decisions right now going forward where Uber Circle is concerned?
Well, I will start with the second half first, that I know that the team has put together a variety of plans for if it's happening at this date, that date, if they have to move it, whatever. So I know from that side, they've taken care of that. Will Uber be affected? I think the cruise ship industry is going to be affected somehow. Will it be a heavy hit or will it be a soft hit? Only time will tell. When the borders are open, are two people going to travel, or is everybody going to be like, yo, I need to get out of here? We can't. It's the same question of, Barrie, when do you think this is going to be over? If I knew that this was going to be over on October the 1st, I was throwing a party October 2nd.
Yeah.
So that's the reality, is that we can, put our 2 cents in, but the reality is that we don't really know for sure.
But for you personally, and again, because when I had the conversation with Ryan, and I asked Ryan, okay, if it wasn't for the borders closing internationally and there was no COVID-19, what would your schedule have looked like? And
oh, wow.
And Ryan sat down for 5 minutes of Instagram time to basically like, all right, next week I'll be here, then I'll be there, and I'll be there and there.
We know the schedule. Like this weekend past would have been Jamaica Carnival.
Exactly.
We can go on with Jamaica Carnival.
Right. So for you, I guess the question I ask is, how confident do you, especially being a traveling DJ, feel about actually flying, I guess, post borders being reopened? Because even if the borders to many countries are opened, let's say at the middle of May, the bottom line is that doesn't mean that the coronavirus no longer exists. Is that something that bothers you, or is it something that you think about?
It will bother me. It will be something that I will definitely be paying a lot of attention to. I do have an aunt, a grand aunt, my mother's auntie, grandma's youngest sister, who will be hitting a milestone birthday, and I want to go and see her. She is in London. Actually, she's just outside of London. So I really, really want to go see her. Obviously, I want to be safe, but I really want to go see my grand aunt. I love her dearly. So even if I'm not going for Notting Hill, I want to find some time when I can go to the UK safely and go see my aunt. For me, that's very important. My mom will be turning 70 years young this year. So
big up to moms.
Exactly. So for me, that's very, very important. I've asked all the family to come in. This was pre-coronavirus. So we want to obviously celebrate these milestones, and we also want to celebrate, in the way that we do. What we are the conductors of celebration, but we want to make sure we do it safely.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine in St. Vincent last night. And it raised a very interesting point to me, that we have been, for the most part, doing things in so much excess in the last couple of months and the last couple of years when it comes down to parties and fests and carnival, that nobody ever anticipated seeing something like this. And I saw Skinny Fabulous made a post on Instagram, I think it was tonight, saying that he would never take for granted being on the stage. And just for everybody who is here, if you go on Skinny Fabulous's Instagram, you'll see him on a stage with like 1,000 people with just lights, and Skinny is running up and down. And the person said to me that she believes that many people have taken the freedom that we had to entertain ourselves for granted, and we've overdone it. And now we have to kind of rein it back in and prepare our minds for what is going to be a new normal. Do you believe that as well? Or do you think that it's something that is just part of the course of entertainment? We all get high, we all get drunk, we all party till whatever, and we move to the next. But do you think that there really needs to be a change in mindset in terms of how we look at entertainment?
There is going to be a new normal. We just don't. Again, these are the things that, a lot of us in this chat and people who are going to be watching this later have never, ever experienced the Great Depression. A few years before my dad passed, we actually had conversations. My dad was born around the Second World War. So he explained to me what war rations really were. So here in St. Lucia, for example, Massey had a list of things that you were only allowed to get one pack of this or two of this or three of this. You couldn't fill your basket with it. So in a sense, they were rationing here in St. Lucia because they wanted to make sure that everybody got toilet paper or everybody got milk, etc., etc. And so I applauded them for that. But it took me back to this conversation that my dad had. Another conversation my father had is something which is very important, is owning your own home, owning your own business. So if it's your business, is the building yours or are you paying rent?
Rent.
I am blessed to say I don't have a mortgage. I am blessed to say that. So right now I am not busting my brain on how much I have to pay for rent this month, next month, the month after that. There are a lot of people in this group who are not in the same situation.
Correct.
But I'm not working, as in that aspect that we do as DJs touring the world, etc., etc. But the time that I am spending here, I am handling a lot more of business that needs to be taken care of in regards to my mom. Normally I come here, I'm here for a week, maybe a week and a half tops. Now I'm here for a while. I've had meetings with my attorneys. We've gone through, okay, if we do this, what happens here? Okay, strategizing for my mom in regards to, because it's not something I often talk about. My friends do know this. My mother does have dementia and Alzheimer's. This is, and it goes back to what we were discussing about Puffy and mental health. And I big up Puffy for saying that. Is correct. When I first started to understand, this was very, very difficult. I did not understand this disease or condition. I needed to learn more. I did not know what sources to go to, but I needed to know how am I going to deal with this, because guess what? This is not going to get any better.
Correct.
Not anytime soon, but it's just not going to get better. So I am now learning day by day, and I'm human like everybody else and I make mistakes, but guess what? I wouldn't trade my mother for the world. And so because of it, as I am here, I now have that extra time to go in and do what needs to be done. If there's extra documents that needs to be signed, etc., etc. And I'm glad to be here to have this time to do that versus rushing on a plane from event to event, which as much as I'd love to be here, I'm actually glad for the reset.
Funny you say that. And this was actually supposed to be the last question I was going to ask you about. Skip forward to it because I realized we're on it and it's really important. When I did Tropical Luau in Carnival with Puffy, and I was driving him back to the stadium to meet Marshall for a performance, we ended up in a real deep conversation about mental health. And the fact that at this point in time, he's been introduced to it in such a new way that he wanted to actually take time to go and see a therapist, which is something he never did, right? And he realized that, as much as it is that I might be physically healthy, it's important for me to be mentally healthy, especially going on the road and traveling, hitting countries ever so often, and, interacting with a plethora of people and different energies now. What do you do for yourself personally to keep yourself centered? Because in talking to Ryan, in talking to Puffy and everybody, even in my own experience, because I still work, so I understand the challenge of going to an office, leaving the office at 4 o'clock to get a flight for 7, to go to here, to check in, to do a promo, to sometimes after the promo to go to the venue to do a sound check, to make sure that you have all the equipment on hand, to make sure my DJ is good, to make sure I am good, to leave the early morning to come back. And that in itself takes a toll on me. But at the same point in time, because of my commitments here, I understand how I space things out. For you, you guys are literally on a plane every single weekend and sometimes in the week. What do you for yourself do to keep yourself centered with that?
3 things. It's very simple. Faith, family, friends. A mentor taught me that.
Right.
My faith is first, my family is second, and my friends come third. And once you have those 3 things, I'm not talking about the yes men. I'm talking about the dudes who, but Barrie, you shell down the place. And I was like, Barrie, yeah, bro, that.
As you said, remember, Soca Brainwash for New York. I messaged you. I said, Barrie, listen, I know you was really trying with the guy that you were playing with at the point in time. I'm not gonna call the room; it was a different room. I know Ryan was rotating everybody, and I was like Barrie, I know you was really trying with that DJ at the point in time, but things would just had sound off. You understand? And I think it's important for people to have individuals and friends, like real friends in the team. And there's a lesson I guess you and I would like to spread to every young DJ, that one, it's okay to not be okay all the time, but two, you have to have people in your team that will actually be real fair, like
and reach out to your, like you see right now, staying at home all the time is not something that any of us do in the industry or in general. We
Correct.
don't. We go out to a bar, we go see a friend, we go online, we go catch a movie, we go to a restaurant, whatever it is. We are, as West Indians, we like to hug our friend. We like to do these type of things.
Yeah.
And we're now being told, stay away, social distancing. You had to get the elbow for the
elbow bounce. Yeah.
Or you give a Bluetooth high five, which is what I'm giving you right now because I can't.
Yeah.
So these are all things that are not the norm for us. I custom to going by my auntie home and say, Auntie, I reach. What you having on the stove? Type of thing. Or we're accustomed to that. We are, we are warm people. As West Indians and as people from any island, you're usually very attached. You know your neighbor. If I did something bad as a child outside, my neighbor would tell me two things, probably even give me a lash, and then tell my mother what I did. Because, as I say, it takes a village to raise
a child. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, because this is uncharted waters for, I want to say, 99% of us, check on your friend. Call your friend. Message your friend. Yo, how you doing? How things, man? You know what I mean? And things are going to be hard for some of our friends, hard mentally, hard physically, because they can't get out and exercise or whatever it is that they normally do. You have a friend that goes to the gym 5-6 times a week and they can't go to the gym now. Oh God, this is playing with their psyche.
And mind you, we have not, in all those things that you said, and I want everybody to take note of that, we haven't even mentioned anything about a party or going to a party or going to a fete and going to a bar. Because to me, as much as you are involved in entertainment, go back to the beginning of this discussion, that's why I call it full government name, because we are all individuals. And the purpose of us doing the Groove Theory Lives is to kind of show the human element to every single DJ that we've spoken to that people don't really see. So again, everybody will say, well, the mic man and the hype man, them is just gonna go on stage and ball. That's what I like to go and do. But yo, you don't know that Barrie Hype has done this training and that training, and he has this experience, and he's worked in the ANRA and he's done this. And those things, I think, are extremely important for young creators right now to learn, especially at a point in time when we're all home right now. And if we could actually spread this knowledge now, it's the best time to do it.
A small side note when it comes to government names. Very, very funny. So a collective group of us, Private Ryan, Back to Basics, Tony X, Ryan Saeed, I'm missing somebody, and Duchess. We were all in Jamaica. We were all on the road at the time with Bacchanal Jamaica. And so the bus was downstairs. Not to throw under the bus. Duchess hadn't arrived downstairs as yet. So somebody said, yo, go over to the I think it was I who went over to or it could have been Tony. We went over to reception desk to call Duchess' room to say, hey darling, the bus is here, time to go.
Right.
So all right, cool. So he walks up to the desk and said, hi, I'm trying to reach Alicia. No, he said, I'm trying to reach Alicia. And I said, what's your last name? And he came to everybody, says, what's Alicia's last name? Everybody said, Duchess.
Because nobody know. Nobody know. Yo.
Adam, 2MV Duchess is not always late.
Oh,
Don't you
oh
see
gosh,
that?
Adam. So you can imagine you had that situation with Ryan and you go to the hotel and nobody know Ryan's full name. It's like, anybody know what's Ryan's name? And somebody say private.
No, and this happened to me one time when I was in Calgary. I had a show. It was with Tal Pre, Patch, Dr. J, Allison Hines, Nadia Batson, and the gentleman who checked me in was dealing with somebody. So I came to him and says, "Hi, I checked in two gentlemen. One is Tal Pre, one is Patch." He's like, "Hey, what's his first and last name?" I'm like, and I'm like, "What?" I don't know. And
you don't know.
Well, how do you not know the name? And I said, well, he just checked him and said, hi. I said, Dan, I said, any one of them come downstairs, ask them my last name. None of them would know.
Yeah. And I'll give you a secret as we continue with this. I knew your full name from before, but I totally forgot. So it's like, I like to have my research down for these one-on-ones. So I kind of message Ryan and I was like, Ryan, where's Barrie's name again? And like everybody's like, oh, right, I finally remember. Right.
He has my name saved on his phone with my last name.
Well, that is good. Big up Back to Basics as well. Big up Basics.
Big up DMZ, tall man from Barbados. Big up.
Yeah. So I want to get to these three questions quick before we go because it's important. For Barrie Hype, what are his three favorite carnivals in the world? And if tomorrow, right? Because this is a hypothetical here, so everybody, all the people who logged in is a hypothetical. Tomorrow, they come and say, listen, COVID-19 is an extremely serious situation, so we're only going to allow one carnival for the year. Which carnival will it be?
Oh, that's easy.
So, all right, let me start with first. What are your three favorite carnivals and why?
Wow. I can't do three. I cannot.
All right, give me five. Give me five.
St. Lucia, obviously, because it's home. Trinidad, it's the Mecca.
Look, I love Carnival. Waiting for this to hear this answer.
Jamaica, because it's the next carnival after Trinidad. Bermuda, because and Cayman, they're both intimate, but they have their own unique energies.
Bermuda, whoa! I did not see that answer coming.
Notting Hill, because it's over 2 days. It's the only 2-day carnival outside of the Caribbean. It's the only 2 days on the road carnival outside of the Caribbean.
Right.
Crop Over, it's Barbados. First of all, not even a carnival, but Crop Over, it's unique. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to just name a couple because each one of those carnivals has something which is uniquely special.
That's it.
This year, I was actually booked, funny enough, for the first time ever, I was actually booked to go to Grenada. I've never done Grenada Carnival.
Right.
Always booked somewhere else.
Have you ever done Vincy Mas?
I did Vincy 1 year with Skinny Fabulous. The first year he had his band out on the road. Fun fact, Skinny Fabulous did the interview. It was last night or the night before, and they asked him about one of his most craziest performances. And his most craziest performance was Soca Monarch when he chartered a helicopter from St. Lucia, right? The prop was for the helicopter to come in and land at the stadium where they were keeping Soca Monarch. And he had to get permission from the Director of Aviation of the OEC, and everything. Fun fact, I was in the control tower with air traffic control when the helicopter took off, and I was being given directions from whoever was by the stage. Which was Skinny. Skinny was never in the helicopter. Skinny was side stage, but that's a whole other conversation. It appeared that Skinny was, because the helicopter basically flew up to where the stage was, came back, and then landed. But nobody knew that Skinny wasn't in the helicopter. It was crazy. But fun fact, I was in the control tower, so I felt good being a part of that whole. It took 3 days of intense back and forth and getting all the pieces together. And then Leah didn't have any seats to fly this man down to St. Vincent. And then eventually we got him down. And then the helicopter pilots came. Yeah. And the guy on the ground that was coordinating, you knew him for when I used to work with the airline industry with Air Martinique. So it's funny how it's a...
Yeah, the circle comes back and it helps you at times when you least expect it. That is the truth. So back to the original question, I guess I could say that I should know what your answer will be for your favorite carnival.
758 St. Lucie.
No, I see DJ Adam say Grenada will change your life. So Adam say that.
No, I have been told that. I have been told.
Right. So why would you say 758, which fun fact is actually also my favorite carnival? And people would be, and people will be like, but you're Trini, why is it that you love St. Lucia? But I want to hear your reason. I'll give you my reason. What is what other than St. Lucia being your home, why is it for you St. Lucia Carnival is your favorite carnival for the year?
Boy, it's just special. It's unique. It's that vibe. It's I think I don't want to say home. It's homely.
Correct.
If that makes you know what I mean. And so it's seeing friends that I haven't seen since secondary school, primary school, when I used to live here. But then it's also the energy of the music. It's another uniting place where I see all of my brethren that I tour with. You know, it's that one spot, but the injection of Denry segment, hello. No,
you're right. And for me, I've done St. Lucia Carnival like 6 years now. And it's just, I don't know, there's an intimacy about St. Lucia, boy, that makes St. Lucia different. And it's little small things, you know, like I always love coming down the highway and turning next to the airport and you're on a truck and you're seeing planes taking off while they're going down the road and just that feeling of going into town and going by what do you call it, dancehall street and coming out to dancehall street, and it's just the energy. And of course, as I said, the Denry, there's a particular energy and
as back to basics said, the people. I mean,
yeah, the people.
But the beautiful thing about this is and obviously I'm biased to my country, but the beautiful thing about this, and big up Kerry because he tours the circuit as well. Is you get to go. We get to go to all of these carnivals and experience them first hand. You know, everybody, as Levi Chin said, everybody loves the wall. The famous.
Yeah, we forget the Bumbo Wall. Sorry.
When you pass by the comprehensive school on the to go into town, yes, boy.
People they say the truck has to stop here, and then the wall is just it's Bumbo Money Wall. The Bumbo Wall. Like I don't know how you could forget the Bumbo Wall. But seriously, I mean, Carnival in Trinidad is considered the Mecca. I guess everybody will consider the Mecca. But what I always tell Trinbagonians who have never had the opportunity to travel is that
and stick up in right there. Somebody just said you had to go Berlin. I have done Berlin Carnival twice. I was scheduled to go to Berlin this year as well. But sorry to cut you off. Berlin is unique as well. Berlin Carnival, the road experience. There is only 2 soca trucks out of 60-something, 70-something trucks on the road. A nightclub could have a truck on the road. A guy could just be playing a violin, and it's just him on his truck. So you have a lot of trucks on the road, but there's only 2 carnival trucks on the road, and the vibe is incredible.
I think that is the advantage that you, Cado, Kerry, Levi, and myself, that is the advantage we've had of being able to see carnivals in different countries and understand that every country is unique in a particular way. Like people who come to St. Vincent say, boy, them Vinci's have real energy, boy. Them going from Tuesday straight to the following Tuesday, there's only power soca down the road, and that is one culture. And then if you go into Grenada, there's a particular jab culture, there's another culture. St. Lucia is I would call it the sexual Denry segment, you understand? And the Bumbo Mall. Yeah, oh gosh, let me be real now. Let me be real. The Bumbo Mall. But the bottom line is that if you don't have the ability to be able to do this, I think we act as kind of like ambassadors for not just the music, but for Carnival as a culture. And we are the ones now informing people of what is happening in these different countries. And that is why, even though for me, we might have a favorite one, every Carnival is different. Every single Carnival
every
is different.
single one. And we enjoy every single one of them. You know, from those, from the small ones to the huge ones, they're all unique. They're all special. And we cannot wait to go back to every one of these carnivals. Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait.
So, and that I guess is a good segue to the last thing I really had to ask you. What do you think Carnival is going to look like now? Because as you said before, as Caribbean people, we are accustomed being open to everybody and hugging up people and winding up on this one and jamming this one and jumping up and holding your brother and waving a rag and yada, yada, yada. But we all understand that this is now a new normal, which nobody could really project where it's going to go. I mean, yes, we are all taking the steps right now to ensure that we flatten the curve, as they put it. But at the same point in time, we really have no idea what direction things will go. So what do you think Carnivals look like?
The easiest answer to that is...
social distance and whining? No, you stop here, and the girl saw it, you jam so, and she jam back, and it's like, that could, I don't know.
I actually will totally agree with Back to Basics. His comment is a gradual reset.
Correct.
I do believe at some point in time we will get back to some sort of normal. It is not going to happen now, tomorrow, next week, next month. We don't know. We don't know. They may find, a magic pill or whatever they decide to call it. But at the end of the day, if we knew the answer to that, we'd be buying stock in this company and that company because we are predictors of the future. We cannot. We just pray that we all get through this safely, that our families get through this safely, our friends, and by extension, the soca community, or people in general. We want to make sure that we get through this, that we can all get back to knocking a glass. We can all get back to giving somebody a high five. We can all get back to hugging somebody. We can all get back to, as a friend said, I will never, ever, ever leave a party early ever again. Because they said, boy, I'm not doing that again because of what I'm going through now. We have now lived through what our generation will be arguably the Great Depression. And what I strongly suggest is we learn every single lesson that has come about us now. What does that mean? How important are the people to you around you in your circle? Friends, family, brethren, sister, auntie, nan, you go down the list. How healthy are you physically? Are you taking care of yourself? How healthy are you mentally? And how healthy are you financially?
Correct.
Can you take a year off work and you are good? 9 out of 10 people will say no. So let's take time to reset, set our goals, set our priorities, put things in place that in the event, God forbid, something happens, you have your things in place.
Because there is a conversation among some people within the entertainment industry here in Trinidad that there is a possibility, depending on what happens here, because we can't foresee the future, that there might be quite the possibility of no Carnival in 2021. And that would be the first time since I think
huge part of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago.
And I think that a lot of people need, as you rightfully said, to take everything you just said in context for where their lives are now, especially creators and especially professionals. I was having a conversation with Selector Kerry a couple of weeks ago, and Kerry said that this was the greatest reset ever now. And in a sense, he's right, because now you have to go back to the fundamental principles of why you are doing what you're doing, right? And then you have to find back your passion for the things that you were passionate about before. Even Ryan told me that. Ryan was like, yo, while I've been home and I've had time to think, I've actually gone back into this zone of when I was in college and in my college days of playing in my room and whatever. And he has now found back a passion of himself for music. That is not that he lost it, it's just that now it's more refined because he has time to cultivate it in himself.
Ryan even said in some of his lives and things, he's now redoing his playlists. He's going back in, you know, and resetting. So the reset is important, but it's not just a reset. It's multiple resets. It's when you come out of this, you know, what is your goal? Did you have a goal? Did you have an aspiration? Have you ever accomplished it? A friend of mine, he's in a wheelchair. His goal is to get up and dance. That's his goal. He says, Barrie, I may not make it in this lifetime. Who knows? The technology may come along like a stand on my 2 feet, but until then, that is my goal. And so, and I always tell people, you know, the famous expression, if you don't, what is it again? If you don't plan to succeed, then, or if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail.
Right.
I highly recommend putting together something. I learned, you know, this is not the hardest year of my life. This is not the hardest year of my life. The hardest year of my life was 2019.
Right.
I lost my dad in 2018, but 2019 was the hardest, one of the hardest things I had to go through. If you have never ever had somebody that close to you pass away, one, it touches you in a way that you cannot explain to somebody. Two, it was slightly aware, but now I really understood what it means to prepare for when a loved one of that caliber passes away. Financially last year, that was the hardest year I had to go through, because in St. Lucia and most of the English-speaking Caribbean, by extension CARICOM, we still use the British law system, or, you know, we made a slight adjustments, etc.
Right.
So probate a will takes a year.
Shit.
So to take care of my mom's on a skeleton budget, I landed from DC Carnival. I had my envelope in my hand. The gentleman who is graciously helping me go through all these things looked at me and says, we don't have enough money in the kitty to take care of the bills. I dropped my envelope. I said, well, you know, we'll figure it out. He said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm here in St. Lucia. I'm working for Carnival. You know, I have 100 US in my back pocket. I'm at home. I'll figure out the rest.
Wow.
I know I can go buy auntie and get a little something or whatever. What I knew that I was home, and this is the biggest difference between being in the Caribbean, or aka home, and being a foreign. So
and that's why, I mean, as you remember, when I heard the news about your dad, instead of me, which I mean, it would have been fine, you know, going and expressing my condolences on social media or whatever, I sat down and sent you a voice note. And I said, yo, XYZ, because, and even with Kerry and some of my other friends here, I would just call them and check in on them, just checking to see what he's seen. Because again, we don't know what other people are going through sometimes. And, you know, even though this is supposed to be a DJ conversation, it's more a live conversation. Because at the end of the day, the bottom line is that, yeah, you might be Barrie Hype on stage, but you're Barrie Everett off stage. And even what happens to you in your personal life, to some extent, will at some point affect your public life, because now you have to go out there and, as all the girls in the chat that say Barrie is such a nice guy, you still have to be a nice guy, and you still have to be entertaining on stage, and you still have to be professional. And people don't understand why living a balanced life is important for these things. So yeah, you just hit the nail on with the hammer there. That this to me is one of the most important lessons to learn in anything with entertainment. You know?
And there's so many of my friends that if I miss, I don't want to, who, while my dad wasn't feeling well, checked in. When my father passed away, checked in. I have friends of mine who specifically said, I did not want to WhatsApp you. I wanted to see you in person and
Correct.
give you that strength. So the key to that is while we're going through this now, check on your friend, check on your team, check on people that, because every single day things change. A good friend of mine, who I won't put him out there like that, lost a family member yesterday to COVID-19.
Right.
And I didn't know. I just checked in on him because I saw the fake blast for Notting Hill being cancelled, and I sent it to them. I said, yo, what's up with this? He said, yeah, that's fake, blah, 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 blah. I said, you good? And then he didn't respond. I called him, and he hung up and said, yo, I'm on the phone with family. Unfortunately, my aunt passed away to COVID-19 yesterday. I said, my condolences. My man, if there's anything you need, please let me know. If you just need to talk, whatever it is. And I left it at that because I understood that that particular part of life, everybody handles it differently. And some people need that embrace and some people need space. And everybody else is at some point in between. And you're not fishing to find out, but just lay the message and they will come to you when it's time.
Yeah. Barrie, listen,
Brother.
we way past 10 o'clock because that was usually my ending time. But at the same point in time, first of all, I want to say thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Of everybody, I mean, I was looking forward to having a conversation with everybody, like Puffy, Ryan, Scratchmaster. But to me, and I'll tell you this because I was waiting till this any conversation. I was really looking forward to this conversation because you and I have met up in multiple different areas, different events, and I am always impressed by your professionalism and how you handle yourself.
Yeah, thanks.
As I was saying at the beginning, there are a lot of things that I learned through this process that just as much as everybody else learned it. So many things about you that I learned, like just preparing research for this and talking to you, it really shows that, you know, the kind of character that I have you as for the longest while is really who you are. And to me right now, that's the kind of energy that we need in total in the world right now. We need that energy. We need that energy more than the Carnival Fete and more than the drinking and the rum. The drinking and the rum, we'll get it though. But we still need this energy. We still need this energy right now because again, we are entertainers, but we are individuals first. You know?
We need a nice collective balance.
Yeah.
Because when we don't have that space to go and express ourselves and while out, your balance is off. I'm not saying party, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to ask you to be responsible now and stay home. This too will pass. But we definitely need that balance. We're not one-dimensional. That's one thing West Indians are not. I always say the most God-honest place on planet Earth is either in the Caribbean or in a West Indian diaspora. We don't hold water. We will tell you how it is. If you're playing SHIT, we will tell you. If you're flat in the place, we'll give you the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see everybody right now in the chat from Back to Basics to Kerry to Adam saying that you is Syrup Barrie. I'm not saying Syrup Barrie for me. So, Kerry say what? Ask somebody on ask the lady on the hammer master. What the hell is this one?
There's Barrie Hype and Syrup Barrie.
There's Syrup Barrie.
The two are similar, but there are definitive differences.
I get you. All right, brother. All right. Well, I want to thank you. I want to really thank you for your time tonight. This was really, really appreciative. Stay safe.
Likewise.
Of course, as always, send prayers up to your mom and love to your mom because I know that's a very big part of right now the entire process in St. Lucia.
And everybody's family, man. It's very important. Make sure you're checking in. Don't check in now and then 2 months later. Nah, man, that's a little note. I ain't tell you about everybody, 3 times a day. But a little note. Hey, so how things, man? How things going? Because the following day, something could have really happened to that person.
For real. All right, bro. Well, we'll pick up for sure at some point in time. Hopefully it might be in a carnival somewhere in another island. We never know, but we just have to wait to see. All right? But
Absolutely.
As usual, as usually check in, so I'll check in and make sure everything is good. All right?
Redymix to the world.
Bless up, man. Bless up.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, hello.
Yeah.